Hello friends, welcome to this video. This video is about pivot and unpivot clause in Oracle. So let's first discuss the pivot clause. This pivot clause takes data in separate rows. It will aggregate it and convert it into column. You can see the syntax of it. We have the select star from. This is the main bracket. Here in this inside query we will have the column names from the tables and where conditions what we want to provide. Then we have this keyword pivot. This it's again a separate I would say a separate bracket we have here, where we can mention the aggregate function which we want to use, on which column we want that aggregate function. Then we have the for clause for the column on which we are having the aggregate function. Then we have this in operator where we can give any subquery on any expression, and at last we can use the order by expression. So this data of the employees table. So if you can see, the ones which I have highlighted are the employees who have been hired in 1982 and 1980. Okay, so if you can, in 1980 we have one, in 1982 we have two, and this employee belongs to department 20 and this one to department 10. So I want a query where I want to write a query where I want to find the number of employees hired in a particular year. Okay, so here in our case 1980 and 1982. So to find out how many employees were hired in 1982 and in 1980, we will have a query like this, where we can have like first the department number we want to print, and then we'll use this count function. We'll calculate we'll use a case function to check whether the hire date is 1982. If it is, then we will count it as 1, and we'll use alias name as first year here. So if you can see, for department 10 and department 20, for this 1982 we had one employee, which we saw in the previous slide. Again, now if we want to count the employees who were hired in 1980, similarly we'll use the case condition here. I have given the alias name as second year, which is now printed here as in department 20 we had one employee. It shows as 1 here. I have used this group by department number, and also I ordered by department number. Now how can we do a similar thing using pivot? So if you can see, the format which we saw of pivot was select star from. We have this opening and closing braces. Then we have the pivot clause here, and we can have the order by clause here. So inside this pivot clause we can put the columns which we want to display. Those we have put in the select statement. We have department number here, and then we want the hire date. So hire date I have given the alias name as hire year. So in the pivot what we use is that I will use a aggregate function. I am using count star here. For which column I want it for this column, right? Hire year. So alias name I have used here, and these are the conditions, the expressions which we can write here. So in 1982, if it is in 1982, I am giving alias name as first year. It's printing here first year. If it is 1980, it will print this alias name. Okay, so if you can see how for department 10 this first year has 1 data, and for 20 also it has 1, whereas for this pivots for department 20 we have only one employee in the 1980. Now the next is like find a sum of salary for each department. So you can see I have just a small join here. We have joined the employee and the department table, and where I want wherever the job of the employee is clerk. Okay, so if you can see, and here for department 10 I have this salary. For department 20, if I find a sum of the salary, it will be 1900, and for sales it will be 950. So we'll try to use a pivot clause to get these results. So without pivot clause, how we'll do it? I'm just printing the department name here. I have used the inner join here because to get the department name from department table. So I have joined this employee in department table with this department number value. Then I have printed a department number as well, and then I have the sum of the salary. I have the where clause here. I have grouped them by the department name or the department number and ordered by department number. So you can see for 10 I have 1300, for 20 they were two values, right? So it got aggregated here and shows us 1900. So how we'll do it using a pivot clause? So as the format says, select star, this opening and closing braces, the pivot clause braces are here, order by is here. In the select we have the column names which we want in our to display. We have the department name and the department number and the salary. I'm using the inner join here and the where condition as well here. In a pivot I'll just write the aggregate function here on which column I want it to be on the salary column from here. Also we need to make sure whatever we are having here, right, whatever columns which we are using in this pivot clause, that should be present here. Okay, it should be in the select statement, else it will throw error. Now I want the sum of the salary, and the for the condition is for the department name, and department name should be in these expressions. Department name should be like, if it is accounting, I want the column name to be department AAC. If the department name is research, so it will display the column, a new column will be created, will be named as department RES. If it is sales, then for that department sale is the alias name of the column which I have used. So you can see for each department the corresponding salary of the employees, okay, is being calculated here, and it's shown in the form of columns. Next we'll see what is unpivot. So the Oracle unpivot clause allows you to transpose columns to rows. It is opposite to the pivot clause, except it does not deaggregate data during transposing process. Okay, the syntax is similar. We have the select star from the select clause. We have here the unpivot clause which starts here and ends here. Order by we can add here. In the select clause we have select and the column names, the from which table, if the joins are there, we can use here. Then we have the where conditions. In unpivot here we can use this include or exclude nulls. So this clause allows you to include or exclude the null valued rows. Okay, this is optional. I think we can use it. If you want, you can use, or you can leave it. Then we have the unpivot clause. So here this is a name which we can specify here for a column that will represent the unpivoted measure value. Then we have the for keyword here and the unpivot for clause. So in here this will allows you to specify a name for the column that will hold the measures value. So whatever here we have the column, right, and here whatever column values will be there, that will be stored in this, okay, in this column name. Then we have the in keyword and the expression we have this will contain the pivoted columns that we want to unpivot. Let's see some example. So it's the data of the employee table. So if you can see, I have by various department we have the data here. For department 10 we have this data, for department 20 and department 30. So if you can see, for department 10 I have employee as King, his job is president, right? Then we have again clerk who is a manager. Then we have Miller who is a clerk. Similarly you can see the employee name and what's the job, his job. Now a simple way which we can using the unpivot clause. So the syntax is select star from employee. So I didn't have to I wanted all the columns, so I have not specified that inner select clause where we can provide those columns which we want to display as well as the where conditions. So I just left this, I didn't use that. Then we have the unpivot clause here. So here I will provide this specify a name for the column. Okay, specify a name for the column. This you can see, this is the column values, and then also here we have the column name, and in which columns which we want this job and this ename column, this we want to unpivot. Okay, so these columns will be displayed as rows. So if you can see here in this column name, this is, if you can see this two attributes, right, these are shown as row now, and the corresponding values you can see are shown here. So if you can see for department 10, this is the employee name, and this is these are the columns which we are trying to unpivot, and these are the corresponding values for those columns, right? Like for this person, this job is president. Second, we have again Clark, who is a manager. Then we have clerk, this is Miller, and then we have Ford, who is the analyst on all these things, right? You can see we had three values here, right? All these three values we can see as are unpivoted and shown there. And then we can have it like, it's like different way, like here where we use a select from star from. If I want to specify the only particular columns, right, I want to display only department number, I want only salary, and these two column name and column values. And here also I have I can specify my where clause here, where the salary is greater than 3000. Then I have the unpivot clause where I have these column values. Okay, this column values, what are the column values which are going to come here, the column names which I'm going to use here. Okay, so column names are a job name, and e-name are the columns which I have used, and these are the corresponding values which are shown as unpivoted here. So you can see for department 10, if we go to the earlier data, right, there was only one employee, right, who was having salary at least this greater than 3000. So that is this person, and his job is president. So you can see similarly for 20 the same data is displayed. Thank you for watching.